For every hit parody like Eat It or Amish Paradise, there's a story of a music legend giving Weird Al the green light. Getting that permission from Al has been a badge of honor in the music industry, a sign that you've probably made it. It's a rite of passage, a signal that your song hasn't just been a hit, but has become a piece of pop culture itself, ready to be reimagined with lyrics about maybe food or television. For decades, artists have lined up, often enthusiastically, to let Al work his magic. But what about the songs we never got to hear, the parodies that were personally shut down by some of the biggest artists on the planet? For a man who's built a career on being the court jester of pop music, there's a surprising number of tales where the kings and queens of the charts weren't laughing. These are the untold stories of the parodies Weird Al was forbidden to make, and some of the stories behind why these artists said no are almost as entertaining as the parodies themselves would have been. To understand why a no is such a big deal, you have to first understand Al's most important self-imposed rule. He almost always asks for permission. Legally, this is a funny gray area. Under the principles of fair use in U.S. copyright law, parody is often protected. Now, a legal analysis is a multi-factor test, and it's not a guaranteed shield, but many creators, myself included, rely on this principle. But as we all know, stupid record labels and publishers largely ignore fair use and exploit the whole system to their benefit on YouTube. Interestingly enough, though, Weird Al at the very beginning of his career didn't seek permission from the artist. His longevity is built on more than just clever rhymes, though. It's built on respect. From those early days, he decided to make a personal courtesy a cornerstone of his process. He doesn't just want to be legally in the clear. He wants to maintain positive relationships with the musicians that he actually admires. And this approach has saved him from countless industry feuds and legal problems and cemented his reputation as one of the nicest guys in music.
Need permission to do this kind of stuff.
Most artists, from Nirvana to Chameleonaire, have felt that being asked was actually an honor, but this gentleman's agreement also gives the original artists the power to say no. And when they do, Al respects their wishes. He walks away and that would-be parody becomes a what-if, whispered amongst fans. In the long history of Weird Al's polite requests, there's no name more significant than Prince. He wasn't just an artist who said no once. He was the one who, without much explanation, turned Al down every single time. And the list of attempted Prince parodies is a tour through his most iconic hits. Al pitched ideas for 1999, When Doves Cry, and Kiss. Each time the answer that came back was a swift and decisive no. The reasons remained as mysterious as Prince himself. Now, Al has stated in interviews that he never received a clear explanation, but interestingly, he did recount hearing a bootleg recording of Prince in the studio, laughing at Fat, the parody of Michael Jackson's Bad. So he seemed to at least be a fan of Al's work, just as long as it wasn't his work being parodied. But I also want to point out that Prince really didn't like other artists even covering his music, with him recalling in 2011, covering the music means that your version doesn't exist anymore. He felt that covers took control away from the original creator and could change the essence of the work. But then Al got a bizarre request from Prince's camp when they were supposed to be seated in the same row at the American Music Awards in the early 90s.
You read about some of the, for lack of a better term, dicky moves that he made, and you were kind of the victim of that. You were seated next to him at the American Music Awards.
Well, not right next to him.
But in the same row.
Yes, yeah.
And you were told, do not look Prince in the eyes.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
I got a telegram from his office.
From his office?
Yeah. I have to say, it wasn't a personal thing, I don't think, because I was talking to some of the guys from Night Ranger, and they said, yeah, we got the same telegram. Don't look at Prince.
But can you imagine?
But they had to go to the trouble of finding out who would be near him.
Yes.
And then telegramming all of them.
Do not establish eye contact.
But aren't you freaked out by that? Isn't the business really fun? You get to see some really funny things, don't you? I mean, what is that behavior? I mean,
I don't. Well, that same year, I think it was the same year. Do you remember Prince used to bring his bodyguard with him everywhere? Chick, was that the guy's name?
Yeah.
The big hulking guy. Yeah. Bring him on stage like he'd win an award, and the bodyguard would come on stage like Kenny Rogers was gonna punch him in the face or something.
Yeah, like where you're gonna get beat up at the award show. Maybe it was all sort of maybe it was just pure genius.
As a joke, I sent out a memo to Prince saying, "Yeah, Prince, don't look at me either, okay?"
But not every rejection was as enigmatic as Prince's. Some were incredibly specific, born not out of ego, but just out of a deeply held personal belief. And no story illustrates this better than the time Weird Al was shut down by Paul McCartney. The target was the epic Wings anthem, Live and Let Die. Al's idea was pure goofy genius, chicken pot pie. He thought he was on solid ground. McCartney had apparently told Al, anytime you want to do one of my songs, it's yours. So when Al submitted his idea, he likely expected a quick approval. The initial response was positive, but there was one crucial question. What was the parody about? When Al revealed the title, the project came to a screeching halt. Paul McCartney, a staunch vegetarian, could not in good conscience endorse a song that promoted the consumption of meat. The irony, of course, is that Weird Al himself was also a vegetarian. Al felt it didn't really sing as well. And so one of the most anticipated parodies of the era was Rejection. It was a respectful disagreement over dietary ethics. Paul McCartney didn't block the parody because he was anti-comedy. He blocked it because he was pro-vegetable. The relationship between Weird Al and Michael Jackson was, for a time, one of the most successful pairings in parody history. Jackson was an early and enthusiastic collaborator. He personally approved Eat It, the parody of Beat It, and was reportedly so amused by Fat, the send-up of Bad, that he let Al's team use the actual subway set from the original music video.
Article in Rolling Stone magazine. I want to read a bit of what you wrote for that article. You said, "I don't know what kind of career I would have had today if it hadn't been for Michael Jackson. In a very real sense, he jump-started my career. Eat It basically changed me from an unknown guy into a guy that got recognized at Burger King." And, you know, I was thinking, Al, so many stars love when you parody them. Some of them actually help you come up with the idea. If legend has it correctly, I believe Madonna suggested like a surgeon, for instance. I'm guessing Michael Jackson didn't call you and make the suggestion to you. Did you pick up the phone and call up Mike and say, "Hey, Mike, I got an idea"? How'd that go?
Well, I didn't really have his home phone number at the time,
okay.
But I was amazed that I actually got through to him because Michael Jackson was ostensibly the largest star in the universe at the time, and I was a relative unknown. So basically, my peeps talked to his peeps, but within a few weeks, the message got through, and he signed off on it, and somewhere there's a document, a contract, with his signature next to mine saying that we are the co-writers of Eat It. So it just amazed me.
That's fantastic.
This makes the rejection, when it finally came, all the more interesting. You see, in 1991, Michael Jackson released the anthem Black or White, a song with a serious message about racial harmony. Al came up with a food-based concept, as he often did, called Snack All Night. He submitted the idea to Jackson's camp, likely expecting the same warm reception he'd received before, but this time, the answer was no. It was entirely about context. Michael Jackson reportedly felt that the message of Black or White was too important to be parodied. While he was fine with Al making fun of his tough guy image, a song about global unity was, in his view, off limits. It was a line in the sand, and he understood the difference between parodying his image and parodying his message. Al completely understood and respected the decision. There was no bad blood. It was simply a case of an artist protecting what he felt was a crucial piece of his legacy. Al did get to meet Michael Jackson in person a few times, though.
Met him a few times. You did get a chance to shake his hand and spend a little time with him. I read in that same article in Rolling Stone, you considered him to be otherworldly when you met him in person. What did you mean by that?
It's hard to articulate. I mean, it was just very odd to meet him because he's such a larger-than-life figure. It was almost like meeting somebody out of Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. It was like, this person can't exist in reality. It's like, it was just hard to comprehend that this is an actual human being.
Yeah.
He just seemed so bigger than life.
Yeah, I actually was on the set.
Did he ever invite you over to Neverland? Did you get
He did. I think it was at a point where it probably wouldn't have been cool to go.
Perhaps the most famous and, for a time, the most contentious story in Weird Al's career is Amish Paradise. It's a saga that highlights why Al's permission-first policy is so important to him. In 1996, Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise was a global hit. Al saw the potential for a classic parody contrasting the gritty urban narrative with the simple life of the Amish. Here the story gets a bit murky. According to Al, his record label informed him that they had actually gotten approval from Coolio. And based on this, Al proceeded to record the song and film the video. He said that he chose Amish Paradise because their lifestyle was the antithesis to the gangster's paradise. Funny enough, Al admitted to the Edmonton Journal that he almost never recorded the parody, revealing, "I was thinking this was going to be my alternative album, and I was mostly looking at doing alternative artists." But then Gangsta's Paradise was #1 in the States for 8 weeks, with Al adding, "Then I thought about Gangsta's Paradise. That's it. I got to do it."
If you come to visit, you'll be bored to tears. We haven't even paid the phone bill in 300 years.
Then the song was released, and Coolio was not happy about it. He publicly stated that he had never given permission and was offended. The controversy soon blew up, and for the first time, Weird Al was at the center of a public feud. He was mortified, later explaining that he was led to believe that everything was fine and that he would never have moved forward if he knew Coolio was against it. According to Al, he even wrote a sincere letter of apology, though he never received a response at the time. The story, however, does have a happy ending. Years later, Coolio expressed regret about the whole thing.
That when Weird Al Yankovic did his parody of your song,
You weren't.
I said no. Okay, they asked me. I said no. But
Yeah.
under the parody law, I couldn't stop you.
And so,
but I was upset about it.
right.
But when I sat down and I really thought about it, I was like, wait a minute. I was like, Coolio, who the do you think you are? He did Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson didn't get bad. I had to, and I was being too magnificent. I was being too terrific about myself, and that's not what you want to do. I've since then apologized to him, and that was so stupid. That was really stupid. That was a stupid thing for me to do. That was one of the dumbest things I did in my career. Like as far as dealing with music. And
have you had any time to sort of reconnect with him in any way, shape, or form?
He tried to get me to be in this show that he's Al's Big Brand or something like that. I turned it down because he didn't offer me enough money. Basically, I would have did it, but the zeros wasn't right.
But Coolio and Weird Al eventually buried the hatchet, and they both appeared together at the 1996 American Music Awards.
I came up with the idea of showing up at the American Music Awards wearing the exact same hairstyle as Coolio.
I wasn't like the biggest Weird Al fan or anything. I don't think he was the biggest Coolio fan either.
It takes like 3 hours, I think, to get my hair to look like that. And my scalp is pretty tender to begin with, and they have to yank your hair and twist it around these wires. There's actually wires inside my hair when I'm doing that.
Nah, I had no idea. They kept that from me.
I didn't know Coolio real well at that time, and I was concerned that if Weird Al came out with a mock Coolio hairdo, that he'd be, angry.
I did spot him right before we came out.
I think we had 30 seconds, really, literally, before they had to come on.
And he laughed and gave me a big handshake, and he said, hey, who does your hair? That's pretty good. He even showed me how to do the Coolio walk. He said, okay, when you walk out there, you got to walk like this. And like we're rehearsing the Coolio walk.
I just didn't want him looking out corny, walking Weird Al style, He had to represent correctly. I was cool with it. I make fun of people every day. That's what it was all about. We're entertainers, so, that's what we're doing. We're entertaining.
The saga of Amish Paradise serves as a powerful cautionary tale and ultimately a story of grace, reinforcing why Al is so committed to getting a direct yes. Now, not all rejections are a hard no. Sometimes they're a yes with conditions, or a yes that maybe comes too late. First, let's talk about Eminem. In 2003, Lose Yourself was a massive hit. Al's parody idea was couch potato, turning Eminem's intense story into a saga of a channel surfer. Eminem agreed that the song could be on Weird Al's album, but with a major condition. There could be no music video. He reportedly was concerned that a Weird Al video might undermine the serious legacy of Lose Yourself. Al, ever respectful, agreed. Couch Potato was released on the album Poodle Hat, but it was never given a music video and it was never issued as a single. Then there's the case of approval that came too late. When Al was planning his album Straight Outta Linwood, he approached Daniel Powter to parody his massive hit Bad Day. The parody was to be You Had a Bad Date. Powter initially declined, so Al moved on scrambling for a new lead single, but then Powter changed his mind and gave his approval. The only problem, by the time the yes came through, Al was already deep into writing and recording what became White and Nerdy. That song, of course, became one of the biggest hits of Al's career, his first to crack the Billboard Top 10. It parodies the song Ridin' by Chamillionaire and Crazy Bone. Finally, we have the curious case of James Blunt. Al wanted to parody You're Beautiful with a track called You're Pitiful. He reached out to the Blunt, who was completely on board with the idea and gave his blessing. Al recorded the song, but then the suits got involved from Blunt's label. It turned out his record label, Atlantic Records, vetoed the release. Despite their own artist giving approval, the label refused to allow the parody on the album, so Al found a loophole. He ended up releasing You're Pitiful as a free download on his website, and it soon became a viral hit.
You're pitiful, it's true. You're beautiful, it's true.
After this journey through the Hall of Rejections, it's crucial to remember that a no is the exception. To truly appreciate the strangeness of these rejections, you have to look at the overwhelming enthusiasm of the artist who said yes. And there's no better example of this than Chamillionaire. When Weird Al decided to parody Ridin' with White and Nerdy, Chamillionaire's reaction was the polar opposite of Coolio's. He wasn't just okay with it, he was thrilled. He praised Al for his skilled rapping and saw the parody for what it was, a celebration. He noted that he felt White and Nerdy actually boosted sales of Rydin and exposed his music to a new audience. In fact, when Chamillionaire won a Grammy for Rydin, he met Weird Al on the red carpet and personally thanked him. He told Al he believed the parody was a huge part of why he won, because it made the song a cultural touchstone. And he's not alone. According to Al, when Nirvana's Kurt Cobain was asked for permission to parody Smells Like Teen Spirit, his first question was, is it going to be about food? When Al told him it would be about how no one could understand his lyrics, Kurt thought it would be hilarious and immediately agreed.
I had a friend on the cast of Saturday Night Live, and I called up and said, if you can get Kurt Cobain on the phone, put him on the phone because I would love to talk to him. You know, this is the first time Nirvana played Saturday Night Live.
Yep.
I heard after the fact that Kurt may have been...
On the Friday, he went and got heroin.
Yeah.
Yes, on the Lower East Side.
So that might have affected his decision. I don't know.
Yes.
But
I don't know if I felt like my career was over, but I certainly was sort of at a low point. And when I came back with Nirvana, that brought me right back into heavy rotation on MTV, and it brought me back in the top 20 on the Billboard charts, and it did feel like a real return to form.
Artists from Madonna, who inspired Like a Surgeon, to Lady Gaga, who considered it an honor, have embraced Weird Al's treatment with open arms. These enthusiastic yeses are the bedrock of Al's career. And when you look back at the parodies Weird Al was forbidden to make, you see a fascinating alternate history of pop music. These aren't tales of failure, but of boundaries, artistic, personal, and sometimes purely dietary. The stories of Prince's mystique, McCartney's principles, and Coolio's eventual change of heart don't detract from Weird Al's legacy, they actually enrich it. They paint a picture of an artist navigating an industry with a unique combination of wit and profound respect. For every door that closed, another one opened, often leading to something even more iconic. In the end, the rejections are a core part of Weird Al's legend. They underscore the very principle his career was built on, that even in the world of comedy, respect for the artist always comes first. That brings us to the end of today's video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again on Rock and Roll True Stories. Take care.